So welcome back, everybody. This was actually a viewer requested video. Shockingly, I had no intentions of recording this, but I've had a couple of people reach out because these Langmuire Crossfire Pro CNC plasma tables are so popular. Not sponsored, by the way. I know it sounded like that with the way I said it. Bought and paid for my own money. But so many people are interested in them or already own them. I had people say, hey, when you do your first initial cleanup and refreshing of the table, because they do need continual maintenance, please record that process. Well, I'm about to do a CNC plasma job, and it just so happens the table's looking pretty yucky. Time to clean it up. Let me show you how I freshen it up. I've got a unique idea that I don't see many people doing to get all this nasty mess out. Again, freshen it up, we can get to work. So here's the thing about these CNC plasma tables. First of all, massive evaporation in my shop. I actually have not drained this table. It's almost to the bottom, just off of evaporation. I have to constantly add water to this. This shop stays well over 100 degrees, or I should say it did, until I just put me a vent fan in. So for starters, you need to drain your system out. It looks like there's so little fluid in here. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna take that out with a vacuum. So on the bottom side of each pan, this is two pans bolted together in the middle, there is a drain right there. Probably the simplest thing to do. You see there's the drain up top. Undo that, have a bucket down there, drain your liquid into the bucket, call it good. Now, one thing I do not like about these tables is a raised and small drain, so I can't scoop all this nasty material into it. Getting the material out is probably the hardest, most aggravating part of cleaning your table. That and getting a lot of this like slag, dross, whatever you want to call it, off of these raised ribs right here. So there is another drain right here, but it's completely covered in muck. So a bucket either side, drain the fluid out, and you're left with this mess right here. So you're gonna see we've got little bits and pieces, steel plugs everywhere in here we're gonna need to get out. Probably best to do some of that with a magnet, but again, we're gonna speed this process up with a special vacuum that I bought. And then of course, all this nasty mess in here, what is this? That's steel. That's what we've actually been cutting. That'll either be steel, aluminum, just depends on what you're cutting on your machine. This is the grit and nastiness that I want to get out, because the more of this raw, mild steel that's in here, the higher the corrosion, and that'll create a problem. Now the pan is stainless steel, but all these replaceable raised ribs in here are mild steel. Here's something shocking. Look, no rust, y'all. See the green liquid that I run in here? When we freshen this back up and refill it, I use a specialty green liquid. This has been in here for months, and I am extremely pleased to say I don't see any rust or major corrosion. That stuff 100% works. You can put straight water in these, but expect corrosion and expect to have to clean these out far more often. The other thing we need to do as part of our maintenance, we need to lube up our shafts right here. I'm gonna show you how to do that. Definitely need to lube up our rails, check bearing tensions, and just make sure the play and everything is within spec before we get back to work. That's just gonna make sure that we have a nice, smooth cut and everything's gonna be precise. All right, for starters, we need to remove all this dross or slag off the top of these bars. Multiple ways you can go about this. They make specialty tools to go along and pop this mess off. I wish I had one. It almost looks like a crowbar, but a lot bigger to actually fit and pop that stuff up. You can chip it off with a hammer. You can remove these completely, hit them with a wire wheel or a grinding wheel on the table. That's gonna make a mess. Or something very simple to do. Check this out. And just flip them over. Now we have a perfect side. You can use these many, many times before you have to dispose of them or make some new ones. I've actually got a cut file from my buddy Kyle Spicer over at Spicer Designs to make ridges. And it'll make new ones of these supports that actually have peaks and tops. So when you're cutting, it's very rare that you'll actually cut into one because it's sitting on what looks like little mountain peaks or tops. That's really, really good. You may find that one of them is cut right in the section where I got to flip it over and it doesn't fit back in correctly. All right, so realistically, even though I'm gonna flip them, what I really should do is remove these because I want full access to this pan. I wanna get it nice and clean. And when we put these back in, we'll have them all flipped the proper direction. All right, this is a good time to take you a wide scraper. And we'll clean up the majority of this. I've got a bucket on standby. We'll put this nasty mess right in. Now this would be a way to do a relatively quick cleaning if you don't have what I have. We're skipping this nasty step. So I got to thinking when I first bought this machine, I was like, how am I going to speed up the cleaning process? And I jumped on Amazon and found a stainless steel. I didn't know they made stainless steel wet dry vac. I've got it set up for wet vacuuming. So this can suck up all this nasty mess. It puts it right in a stainless steel drum, so now I don't have to worry about corrosion or any other issues. This is not painted steel. This, I do believe, is gonna be a game changer for cleanup. So I could suck up all this table fluid right in here, go dump it, dispose of it, come back and continue to work. Check this out. Well, I can say without a doubt, it probably doesn't get much easier than that. The vacuum, the stainless vac, 100% the way to go. That was nice, quick and easy cleanup, splash a little water in there. I'm happy. You could wipe it down, but I don't really see nothing left that's gonna create some new corrosion or really expedite the corrosion process. By the way, I bought this off Amazon. I'll put a link down in the video description. They had two different models. This, I think, was the smaller model, 6 gallon. Or maybe it was the bigger model. I don't know. This seems absolutely perfect to me. So if I pull this open, all that cleaning, we still have tons of room in here, and every bit of that material is down there in the bottom. So now all I have to do is just go dispose of this. And then what I'll probably do is suck some fresh water up the tube to clean my hose out, or I can take it off and rinse it out. Rinse out the inside, let it go dry out there in the sun. I mean, it just doesn't get no easier than that. All right, so let's take all these pieces. You could clean these up if you wanted to. Our slat holders, there's a little bit of muck on them, so I guess that could cause a little accelerated corrosion, but I ain't really worried about it. All right, now we'll flip all of these over from the cut side to the clean side. This will get us a lot of work. See, this one right here has got junk on it. Either I can pop it off, looks like I got it off by hand. Otherwise I could keep a grinder or something nearby. All right, we're flying through this process. Let me show you a key component of what I use here. I also bought this jug off of Amazon, not sponsored. And this is the Plasma Green 9010, and this is from KCI Chemicals. Now the 9010, the reason this was important, you need to keep in mind, they have a cheaper one that I also put in the description if you're only cutting mild steel, or just steel in general. This one is also rated for aluminum. There's different reactions and different processes that happen. Now this you can dilute to a 20-to-1 ratio. What I did last time is I put about 1 gallon to 1.5 gallons in this entire pan, and then I filled it with water, and you can see after months and months and months, it looks fantastic. So I'm gonna do the same again. That means this one jug, I can clean this table 3 to 4 times before I use it up. And honestly, this one jug is probably gonna last me at the rate that I've been cutting a solid year. Now, if you're a high production shop, you may go through it more. If you're just a little home hobbyist not doing much cutting, this could last you even longer than that. This is just something that I've got to factor in my projects whenever I bill out to customers. A few dollar shop fee, which helps cover consumables, liquids, time for cleaning your table, wear and tear, lubrication like we're about to do, all that good stuff. Now, there is a divider in between these two pans, but the water will eventually spill over. So I'm just going to pour a little green over here, a little over there, mix back and forth until the table fills up, and then it slowly starts mixing itself. And I like to put this in first so it gets mixed really, really, really good with the water that I'm about to put in there. Luckily, I've got a shop faucet that I can hook this into, so now I'm just going to fill it up. Otherwise, you could just bring a few 5-gallon buckets of water over here, start mixing. And a little bit, trust me, it goes a long way. All right, the table is topped off, looking good. You can see I got my level up to about 1/2 inch from the top, 3/8 maybe. That seems to be a good level, and I haven't had any issues cutting through, blowing the water out, and damaging the bottom of my pan. Now, what we have to pay attention to are these square tube runners. Right here, you can see there's bearings all the way around in that block, that carrier block, and they run up and down on all sides. Well, you get lots of dust. Oh, look at that junk, metal dust on here. I want to clean that off. These shafts I like to lubricate. They can actually get a little rusty, so I constantly coat these. Got another one here. These are the drive shafts that actually move this whole carriage back and forth. There's also another drive shaft on the back side of that bar. It needs to be cleaned. This is critical for keeping things in check. You'll also notice on the top of these carriers there is a set screw here and here. So I will feel for any slop in these carrier bearings and adjust those in and out. You want slight bearing tension on this bar, not enough that it actually drags and hurts your drive motors, but you also don't want enough slop in that carrier that you're getting sloppy cuts out here. So I'll occasionally check and tweak that. Then that's about it. We're ready to get back to cutting. Now, I just use a good old WD-40. That may not be the right choice for lubricating and cleaning. And actually, I would love to hear your thoughts on what's the best thing to put on there. There's got to be a really good lube for these screw shafts and something really good for cleaning up these square tubes. I'd love to hear what y'all are using, especially more professional people that's been doing this a lot longer than me. This is my first machine. I'm not a professional and have not had this very long. I will say after a few months though, this WD-40 sure seems to be working. I know there's certain things you definitely don't want to use WD-40 on. And the other thing I like to do after I lube up these shafts and the bars, I like to plug my machine in, which I'm about to do in another video, and then I'll run the carriage all the way across front to back, and that way those nuts actually run up down the shaft, dispersing the WD-40, cleaning things up, and just lubricating. All right, simple as that. I'll do this just a few times a year, depending on how heavy I'm cutting, how much material's in the bottom. The vacuum is the way to go. As far as lubrication and cleanup, I'll do that about once a month, once every 2 months, or if I start seeing any signs of corrosion or excessive dust or metal buildup. Hopefully this answered your questions. This was a requested video. Now my butt has to get to work creating some more exciting content. Plenty of builds coming up. We'll catch you on the next one.